The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. McNeese Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. Welcome to On the JOB with your host, Lynn Parrish, editor of the Journal of Business. On the JOB is about the Inland Northwest business community, where you'll hear firsthand the backstories from the men and women reporters at the Journal of Business. On the JOB is brought to you in part by McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. Here's Lynn.
Hi, thanks for watching. Welcome to the On the JOB. I'm Lynn Parrish, the editor of the Journal of Business. I'm here today with Kevin Blocker, one of our reporters over at the Journal. And welcome, Kevin.
Thank you, Lynn. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I'm doing well. So we're calling it On the JOB. What do you think? On the JOB, on the job? What do you think?
On the JOB works.
Yeah. Okay.
Works well.
All right. We'll stick with that. So, Kevin, you wrote a story this time for us. We put it at the top of the front page about some stadium alternatives, Joe Albi stadium alternatives that the Spokane Public Schools are looking at. Tell us what you found.
What we discovered in the process of reporting this is that this district has been in touch, having talks with, informal at this point, with city officials about alternatives for Albi. And this is based on the need that the district needs 3 new public schools. And this is based on the legislative mandate to get K through 3 classroom sizes down.
Sure.
Moving 6th graders from current elementary school to the middle schools. In doing that, one of the pieces of property that Spokane School District is looking at building a middle school on is south of Albi Stadium. Albi Stadium was built in 1950. Has a seating capacity of 30,000 people, and 30,000 people have not filled Albi in years.
Sure.
So this goes back to a study that the district did 4 years ago. The facility is too big. It's dated. It needs a lot of work.
Sure.
There are a lot of logistical challenges that come with Albi Stadium. So what the district is entertaining and having informal talks with city officials, public facilities district, is what can we do to possibly scale back the existing Albi, or can we enter into a partnership and potentially build a 7,000 seat stadium in the downtown area? And that's where things are right now. This is, again, going back about 4 years to a conversation that the district held, and some of the other alternatives are no longer being considered. But as Mark Anderson, Associate Superintendent of Support Services, told us, those are the 2 options that the district is looking at right now.
Sure. So when you talk about near downtown, are you looking at a specific location there?
At this point, they've been vague. They don't have anything in mind. However, the North Bank has some space that has been kicked around.
The North Bank being the area near like the Spokane Arena,
Near the Spokane
that
Arena.
Vicinity?
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, correct.
Sure. So you mentioned that those talks are really just getting started there.
Correct.
But they've talked in the past about alternatives for Joe Albi on the site where it sits right now. Can you tell us
That's
a little
right.
bit about that?
What that would entail, if they were to make a move, it would be moving Albi from, again, its current configuration to a facility that's capable of holding between 6,000 and 7,000 people. If a middle school were to be built south of Albi, we're talking about a 20-acre plot.
Sure.
That cuts into existing parking space. So there's no need for, well, there's an inability is a better word. There's an inability to get enough people into enough parking spaces to get into an oversized Albi. And I don't know, have you had an opportunity to view a sporting event at Albi?
Oddly enough, I've never been to Albi.
When you walk into Albi, it is a cavernous environment.
Mhm.
And when we're talking about student bodies, you really lose the ambiance of a facility that exists over at G Prep for its football
Sure.
stadium, or University High, or
Right.
at Central Valley. You walk into Albi and the student bodies are separated by the distance of the field. You've got more concrete and empty seats than you
Yeah.
do have people.
Well, to give some context to it, at 30,000 capacity, I want to say the Washington State games that I've been to have been around 26,000 people or so. And the same with my alma mater, University of Montana.
Right.
It draws about the same. A full house there is around 26, 27,000. So 30,000 is a huge facility.
Huge facility, entirely too big for high school.
Sure.
Only in states of Florida and Texas do you see, upwards of 10, 12,000 people turning out for high school football. You just don't see 30,000 people at a high school football game anywhere in the country, quite frankly.
Sure. Now, when you were looking at what they've proposed for Albi in the past, one of the options that they had discussed was building smaller stadiums, and stadiums a little bit of a inaccuracy in this smaller football fields
Right.
at the individual high schools. Whatever happened with that?
That idea went by the wayside simply because of parking.
Mhm.
As Dr. Anderson told me, North Central High School, Rogers High School, Lewis and Clark, these schools have stadiums that are in the middle of residential neighborhoods.
Sure.
They just don't have the ability to handle the amount of parking if the district were to explore expanding those facilities to 2,000, 3,000 seat facilities for fans.
Yeah, great. Now, regardless of what they decide to do, we're talking about tens of millions of dollars in new construction that they're proposing, including the middle schools that they hope to build to handle the increased capacity that they need, with sixth grade coming into middle school. Can you give us any insight as to what they're looking at with those three middle schools, where they're looking at putting them?
The general number that Dr. Anderson quoted to me, he said that the district is working with, is anywhere between $15 to $20 million per school.
Sure, sure.
The site at Albi is obviously on the north side of town. There is a site just southeast of Gonzaga Prep High School,
Mhm.
property that the district owns, and in the southwest part of town on Thorpe Road, just off Highway 95. Those are the three areas that the district has identified as needing schools, and those three areas are also, as Dr. Anderson said, seeing the most substantial growth in the city, especially in southwest Spokane.
Sure, sure. Now, to pull the curtain back a little bit, the way that we kind of started working on this story was our editorial board had a meeting with the officials from the Spokane Public Schools talking about their levy, operational levy that they're going to propose to voters, and voters will decide upon in February. Our editorial board came out in support of that levy. And really, what they suggested there, and please correct me if I'm wrong, was that these conversations are really going to be solidified after the levy election. Is that right?
After the fact,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
In the case of Albi, the school district is in an arrangement with the city of Spokane. It operates Albi Stadium.
Mhm.
There was a land swap, if you will. The school district had property on the South Hill that it traded to, or it exchanged with the city in exchange for operation at Albi Stadium. Dr. Anderson said that arrangement is still another 3 years away from the district owning Albi outright.
Sure.
So this is something that is down the road, and everybody is just kind of looking at options and brainstorming what is the best option for Albi Stadium down the road.
No, that's great. That's great. Well, a lot of exciting things happening, and one of the interesting things about it is the talk about the partnering between the city and the school district on some aspects of these projects.
Right, and as the story points out, for the first time, the Public Facilities District will enter into this conversation, enter into that discussion. So, they were, Dr. Anderson, city officials, they were really excited to be able to have this opportunity to have another agency like the PFD. And having done the story on outgoing CEO Kevin Tuhig,
Sure.
2-3 weeks ago, you see in the PFD an agency that has been able to successfully take projects like this and turn them into revenue generators, make them aesthetically pleasing to the community in a place that people gravitate to. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, regardless of whether they end up staying out where Albi is currently or they end up closer to the city's core, it'll be interesting to see what comes of all of this.
Definitely.
Well, thanks for coming in, Kevin, and
My
talking to us
pleasure.
about this.
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it. We'll have to talk about it again soon.
Definitely.
All right.
On the JOB is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. On the JOB is brought to you by our friends at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. Ask Lynn a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. McNeese Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeese Wheeler Attorneys.